Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan, along with my co-host, Nassau Community College student, Mike DeMarco.
Today, you're about to learn about the Viscardi Center, which provides a lifespan of programs and services that educate, employ, and empower children and adults with disabilities.
Our guest today is their president and CEO, Dr. Chris Rosa. Dr. Rosa, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Thanks so much, Bill. Thank you, Mike. It's an honor to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your career path, and how you got to this point in your life.
I'm still a little overwhelmed by the series of events that brought me to this remarkable position. But I'm a guy in my 50s who's grown up living with a congenital disability. I have limb-girdle muscular dystrophy, and I was diagnosed when I was 9 years old. And I've been using a wheelchair since I was 10 or 11. And I've lived my entire life with a disability using a wheelchair. And it's really had a profound impact on my understanding of myself and my place in the world and my relationship to more than 56 million other Americans with disabilities who are radically redefining what it means to be a person with a disability in contemporary American life. For the last 28 years, I've worked in higher education, mostly at CUNY at the City University of New York, in student affairs, and my hallmark and my great blessing has been to work with student communities that have historically been underrepresented in higher education, certainly students with disabilities, but also undocumented students, LGBTQI students, student veterans, and I've worked a lot on interfaith understanding on college campuses. And those experiences in education, coupled with my lived experiences as an individual with a disability, as an advocate for people with disabilities, I think brought me to this moment where I've had the humbling privilege of serving as the president and CEO of the Viscardi Center for the last 5.5 months. Each and every day, I learn more about what it means to be a person with a disability in our region. We do remarkable work in empowering people with disabilities to live full, productive, and meaningful lives deeply woven into the fabric of their communities. And that's really been the greatest honor of my life.
And what a great role model, because if a student comes up and says, you don't understand what I'm going through, you can laugh at them. And I'm sure you wouldn't, but you certainly do understand.
Well, Bill, thank you. I feel the same. I'm a disability studies scholar, and my doctoral work and my research is in disability studies, which is studying the experiences of people with disabilities from the distinctive experiences of people with disabilities themselves. But despite everything I've read and everything I've studied, at the end of the day, the thing that I lean into the most when it comes to understanding the person with a disability sitting in front of me is my own lived experiences. And it's nice to work at a place that really values that and allows me to lean into it to better serve people with disabilities.
So it's a win for both sides.
I feel that way.
Mike?
So let's back up just for a moment. I'd like to talk about the Viscardi Center itself. Could you tell us what it's all about?
This is a little editorializing, but I really feel like it is a magical place. It's set in Albertson, Long Island. We have a 70-year history rooted in Long Island, but the scope of our impact is regional, national, and quite frankly, global. We've really changed the face of contemporary American life and the perception of people with disabilities and their role in American culture and in Western culture. Dr. Viscardi himself was a historic figure. He's a precursor to the modern disability rights movement. He was an individual with a congenital disability. He was born with underdeveloped legs. At a time when disability bore great stigma and expectations for the life chances of people with disabilities were very modest, low, and just through the sheer force of his will and his abiding commitment to what we now know as inclusion, he really was the charismatic leader of a burgeoning movement of people with disabilities and allies who changed the fortunes of Americans with disabilities. He started because he looked at the landscape and he saw that there weren't a lot of career opportunities for people with disabilities. He created an enterprise, Abilities Incorporated, which was an enterprise run by and for people with disabilities. And that has served as a foundation of now our Abilities Incorporation, which has prepared thousands of people with disabilities for meaningful careers and lives of independence. Being the steward of that great legacy is still a little awe-inspiring and certainly humbling each and every day. Across from my office at the Viscardi Center is the perfectly preserved office of Dr. Viscardi, as it was as he led our great organization. And I get to pass vivid reminders of his living legacy each and every day. So he keeps inclusion and our rich legacy close to my heart and the heart of everybody who thrives at the Viscardi Center.
Chris, before the show, you and I were talking, and you mentioned to me the Viscardi Center is in Albertson, I believe.
That's correct.
So a lot of us have passed it, Long Islanders, and seen it from the outside. But we're going to ask you what really goes on the inside, the programs and services. I'm sure there's so much more. We just have an image in our mind. But already I'm learning so much from you. So can you tell us what goes on there in a typical day and what's available?
Sure. Each and every day, our center, which is on 14 acres, in Albertson, Long Island, I like to say that it is the 14 most inclusive acres on the planet. And we lean into the empowerment of people with disabilities across the life cycle, beginning with kids with disabilities, K through 12, through our historic Henry Viscardi School, which is a model for inclusive education. We provide inclusive education in pre-K, elementary, junior high school, and high school to kids with very significant levels of physical disability and kids with underlying medical fragility who, apart from a place like the Henry Viscardi School, might be relegated to homeschooling. But because of our inclusive approach to education, our state-of-the-art medical suite, which allows students who need treatment to get it on-site, embedded into the course of a regular school day. These kids get to be typical kids pursuing a rigorous education. They pursue a New York State Regents curriculum, just like their peers would in the community. And each and every year, this is a happy time of year, we graduate students who go on often to transition to college, some transition to work, all transition to lives of greater independence, fully embedded in their community. In addition to the Henry Viscardi School, we serve adults through our Abilities Incorporated programs, through a range of independent living and career readiness programs. We serve people with cognitive, developmental, and intellectual disabilities through our Dayabilitation program, which allows people with intellectual disabilities to build independent living and socialization skills, cultivating greater independence. We have a range of career readiness programs that prepare individuals with disabilities to contribute richly to the American workforce, including a really remarkable culinary program. And we all know now, particularly in our region, how desperately the hospitality industry is looking for qualified workers. We provide very robust and elegant training to people with disabilities, and we're proud to say we have a 100% job placement rate. And people
100%.
100%.
Everybody.
It's really remarkable.
Wow.
But it's a real testament to the quality of the program. And when our participants go out, they really make a really significant impact in the hospitality industry, particularly in restaurants. And you'll see a lot of them in the surrounding area here. And we're trying to go where the opportunity is in terms of connecting people with disabilities to emerging sectors and markets. And we all know that entrepreneurship is burgeoning in the United States and beyond. There are more than 60 million Americans now who work in the gig economy. And so we have a really innovative program developed to developing entrepreneurship among burgeoning entrepreneurs with disabilities. So we're really proud of that. And we can't wait. We know very soon you're going to see the next Fortune 1000 CEO that we've grown through the Viscardi Center through our entrepreneurship program.
I think we have a whole other show to come up with you and to talk to you about. But
we would love that.
Before Mike punches me in the back, I'm going to give it over to him because it's his turn.
Well, you are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Mike DeMarco, along with Bill Horan, and today you are learning about the Viscardi Center, which provides a lifespan of programs and services that educate, employ, and empower children and adults with disabilities. Our guest today is their president and CEO, Dr. Chris Rosa. Now, I want to know, how does it work if, let's say you have a child or you know someone who has disabilities, how would they get enrolled in the programs of the Viscardi Center?
Mike, it's a good question. And like most organizations in the digital age, we endeavor to meet people where they are, and very often they first meet us via the web. So you can go to our website, www.viscardicenter.org, and at our website, there are portals that give you access to each of our programs, to the Henry Viscardi School, to Abilities Incorporated, to the Viscardi Center. And there, you'll be able to get connected to the range of programs and services that best meet the arc of your needs, where you are in your lived experiences as an individual and a family with a disability. But at that point, we will engage you directly. One of the hallmarks of our approach is our intimacy. We have people who cherish our mission and cherish the individuals we serve and have rich lived experiences with disability. And it's that personal connection that we make, I think, that is largely responsible for our success in engaging individuals with disabilities and their families, in our persistence and retention, and ultimately in closing the deal and helping students to persist to graduation, and ultimately connecting people with career opportunities and lives of independence.
I like Dr. Rosa, the way he says closing the deal. You can see that entrepreneurship section of the school coming through right there.
Our participants and students have taught me well, Bill.
I see that. And I'm sure you're teaching them very well. Now, let me ask you, Dr. Rosa, if someone is looking to go there, is this like a private school that they would go to, or is this a transition from a public school where they may not have these facilities? And do the students or parents have to pay additional?
It's a good question. We are a publicly funded private school, so students attend at no cost to them. Typically, most of our students come to us because their local school districts don't have the resources to meet the holistic needs of kids with disabilities within their district. And so the school district funds the cost of them attending at the Henry Viscardi School. And so it's of no cost to the kids or their families themselves.
So a private school at public funding, you get the best of everything going.
The best of all possible worlds.
Wow, that's great.
For sure.
Great.
And now I know you touched on the history of Henry Viscardi himself, but what do you feel Long Islanders should know about his widespread impact that he has had?
It's a good question, Mike. We should be mindful for sure of his regional, national, and global impact, which I will share a little of momentarily. But first and foremost, we should know that Dr. Viscardi is a proud Long Islander. He was born in Roslyn, that the original enterprise, Abilities Incorporated, was founded in Hempstead and ultimately moved to Albertson, the Henry Viscardi School, which was the first of its kind, providing inclusive education to kids with disabilities almost a decade and a half prior to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act required a free appropriate and inclusive education for all children. Long before that was our Henry Viscardi School. All the vision of Dr. Viscardi, who is a remarkable visionary leader. His impact was certainly regional as he provided inclusion and career readiness for people on Long Island and in the region in general. He was the advisor to 8 presidents, from Franklin Delano Roosevelt to Jimmy Carter, all the while informing public policy on disability, particularly related to employment and employment readiness. And his reach has been international. We proudly host a competition, the Henry Viscardi Achievement Awards, where we scour the globe looking for remarkable examples of leadership and advocacy among leaders with disabilities who are changing the arc of access and inclusion for people with disabilities in their own countries worldwide. And each and every year in the fall, we celebrate the achievements and we raise the consciousness of how these international leaders are changing opportunities for people with disabilities on a global scale. So Dr. Viscardi's reach is grounded in his roots in Long Island, but it really has a global impact, and we're really proud of that.
I'm laughing while Chris is giving that answer because I'm seeing the future, and I see Chris, Rosa, as the host of a new show that's going to be on soon. It's called Shark Tank Viscardi Center, right. And a different version, because it sounds like you're growing a lot of entrepreneurs over there and helping them develop their skills in that area.
We have an initial cohort. This is a new initiative, but we're so proud of the innovative thinking and the really visionary and creative business models that these entrepreneurs are developing. And I'm confident that there's all this untapped talent and energy among these burgeoning entrepreneurs. And it will not be long before we all see the next big thing emerging from this cohort of leaders.
Now, as the director and the CEO, do you get the first chance at stock options when businesses come out?
It's not written into any business agreement, but they've all said that they are so genuinely grateful for us believing in them and taking a chance on them that we expect them to be very generous benefactors of their own volition. I mean, and I think that's just the kind of genuine leaders that we're cultivating there.
And those are the right kind of leaders, and that's a win-win for everybody, as well as society, the people around the school, and, of course, future graduates. So
we agree, Bill.
Well, you are listening to My Hometown on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Mike DeMarco, along with Bill Horan, and today you are learning about the Viscardi Center, which provides a lifespan of programs and services that educate, employ, and empower children and adults with disabilities. Our guest today is their president and CEO, Dr. Chris Rosa. Now, how does the Henry Viscardi School actually prepare students who are able to attend it?
It's a good question. I know I keep using the word holistic and holism, but it really describes our approach to developing the full student and their families for academic success, for self-actualization, and for the potential and the skill set to make meaningful transitions to a productive life after school, after the Viscardi Center. So we have a very rigorous academic curriculum. All students pursue Regents validated curricula, and many graduate with Regents and local diplomas. Many go to college after, including several distinguished alumni here at Nassau Community College, and we're really proud of that relationship and the pipeline that has emerged there as they further develop their educational horizons. We also are very proud of the fact that at the Viscardi Center, we celebrate disability culture, and the students develop an abiding and rich sense of their history as part of a community of people with disabilities who are actively and radically redefining what it means to be a person with a disability in the 21st century. And they're on the leading edge of that act of radical redefinition. And they take that empowered sense of self as they make successful transitions, as I said, either to higher education or to other training, but all with an eye towards a career or prominent roles as active members in their community.
Can you tell us about some of the alumni or your graduates, people have gone there, that we may be even seeing every day or doing business with them, et cetera, in the world that I guess we'd call it success stories? Sure.
Thanks, Bill, for asking. They're almost too numerous to measure, I'm pleased to say. So one of our most prominent alumni, who's also a member of our board, is the Honorable Justice Robert Papilla, who is a New York State Justice here in Nassau County, a proud Henry Viscardi alumnus and a graduate of Hofstra Law School. Paul Hearn, who is a prominent disability rights leader, was instrumental in the passage of Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, and the ADA, was a distinguished Henry Viscardi alumnus. One of my close friends and role models, Jimmy Valdez, is a graduate of the Henry Viscardi School, and this past year he won an Emmy for his production work on the Super Bowl with CBS Sports. And closer to home, one of the things that I'm most proud of, and I'm really honored to be engaged in, is we're trying to bring more and more distinguished alumni back to work at the Viscardi Center to leverage their lived experience to empower the next generation of Viscardiites. And Kate Weglikowski is our alumni affairs coordinator. So she is sort of scouring the globe, trying to reconnect and stay connected with our empowered group of alumni. So we have a lot to be proud of.
Definitely do. And I'm so amazed. Are the students as amazed as I am when they hear some of these names and what the people are doing?
They are awed when they hear their names, but leaning into our culture, which is very personal and very intimate, we're really pleased to bring those leaders back to our campus on a regular basis, and they get to know these folks who are a few generations ahead of them. They idolize them as I do, and they get to be mentored by them. So that is a very cool feature of the Viscardi way.
Definitely is. Mike?
Well, the Viscardi Center definitely has the results to show for, but I'm curious to know just a little bit more detail in depth about the employment training programs that you have that actually prep individuals for the real world.
Sure. I mentioned our culinary program. We collaborate with state agencies whose mission in part is to provide career readiness for New Yorkers with disabilities, like the New York State Office Access VR and OPWDD, which is like alphabet soup, but they're state agencies that are devoted to providing career readiness. And in collaboration with them, we work on interviewing skills, on resume writing and development, and actually on job development and job placement. And so our career services team has actually cultivated relationships with very prominent employers in key economic sectors in our region and beyond in order to help them to meet their workforce needs. And we're particularly proud to collaborate with employers who have a diversity, equity, and inclusion mandate as their core values. We find in general that historically that people with disabilities as a community have been often left out in firms' vision of DEI. And we do a lot of consciousness raising demonstrate the value add that people with disabilities bring to a truly diverse and vibrant workforce. And the people that we develop deliver on that promise each and every day for the firms and the entities in which they're placed. And they are our best brand ambassador. The reason people keep coming back, employers keep coming back to Viscardi to meet their workforce needs is just because of the remarkable professionals that we refer to them.
Now, Chris, if someone is hearing this, a business on Long Island or anywhere, and they're hearing the show, if they're interested in getting more involved, can you tell us how a business can increase employment opportunities? Should they call you for advice?
They could absolutely call me or my team anytime. Again, our website, www.viscardicenter.org. We have portals where they can connect to our career readiness and career placement infrastructure. But we'd also be pleased to come out and speak to them and their workforces to help them to appreciate the way in which individuals with disabilities enrich a truly diverse workforce. I mean, people with disabilities contribute richly to the workforce and to any prospective firm. I mean, you think about what employers are looking for in successful employees. They're looking for people who are dedicated, and it's well documented that people with disabilities have the highest attendance and retention rate of any section of the workforce. And it's largely because Americans with disabilities have been kept out of the workforce for so long that when we get an anchor at a job, we are determined to keep it and advance. And I think it's borne out by the data. You're looking for creative problem solvers, and living in environments that are often inhospitable to people with disabilities forces us to think outside of the box to solve problems. And I think that's what any employer is looking for in a creative employee.
You just took away that excuse. You can't get good help anymore. Now we know where to come.
You know where to find it.
And you can talk to our guest, and he'll go out of his way to help you.
Here.
We want to thank Dr. Chris Rosa, President and CEO of the Viscardi Center, for being with us today and taking time out to tell us about the center. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you
today. It's been great, and we both learned a lot. I'm sure I'm speaking for Mike, but you taught us a lot about the center. I'm Bill Horan. I'm here with Mike DeMarco. We thank you for listening to this week's special edition of My Hometown.
We'd like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to WHPC@ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.